Welcome back to the Weber Kettle series brought to you by Fogo Charcoal here on Chuds BBQ, everybody. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today we're going to make some delicious barbacoa tacos on the Weber Kettle. Coming up! This is some beef cheek meat. If you saw my video a few weeks back, I made some direct heat beef cheeks on the channel, and I asked in that video if you wanted to see what you can do with all these scraps. So if you want to see where all these trimmings came from, be sure to check out that video. But this is all of the extra scraps other than the perfect looking beef cheeks that we are going to turn into barbacoa. And this is some pretty nasty looking stuff. It is covered in silver skin, a lot of fat and fascia, but there's also some good meat in here. And because of all that tough connective tissue in there, this really needs to be broken down completely. It really doesn't do well in sausages or in burger grinds or something like that. It's just too chewy. So something like a braise or a confit or maybe a sous vide is really the way to go with this kind of meat. But because these are trims and we're going to be turning them into shreds anyway, we don't need to do anything to them except season them up. In this pan here, I'm going in with 2 parts 16 mesh black pepper to 1 part diamond crystal kosher salt. Just get that nice and mixed up. And then in we go with our beef cheeks. Beef cheek scraps, that is. And we're just trying to get some seasoning on these. Not trying to be too thorough about it here, because we can always adjust it for seasoning later. But it's good to get some pepper on there because that way it'll roast on and smoke on during the cook and give us a bit of a bark and some wonderful flavor. So that is looking pretty good to me. Time to fire up the Weber. Going in with some Fogo premium charcoal. Few chunks of wood, any wood will do here. This is pecan. We're doing the snake method yet again, which means basically I've lit it on one side and it's just gonna kind of burn this way. That way we don't have to attend the fire too much and get some lovely smoke on the meat. Got the slow and sear in here, water pan removed. I would have put it in if I remembered, but I forgot, and I don't really think a water pan makes that much of a difference anyway, especially with a cook like this. But this seems to be nicely caught, smoking away. As you can see, I've also got the little cast iron doohickey down in there. That's gonna help direct airflow and catch any grease, because there's gonna be a lot of grease from this cook. But other than that, all we need to do now is throw on the barbacoa. No real rhyme or reason to it, folks. This is a very forgiving cook because most of the important cooking is gonna happen overnight. Right now, we're just trying to get a little color on it, get some smoke on there, dry out some of the moisture. But you can really do this however you like. You could do it at 200 degrees for a couple hours and finish it off however you like. You could do hot and fast. This stuff is super forgiving. Because again, this is all gonna be shredded together at the end. So if this part gets extra barky and this part doesn't, it's gonna be fine because it's all gonna be mixed together. That being said, I'm gonna rock this around 275, 300 degrees for probably 3 hours, maybe 4, just until these cook up a little bit, get some good smoke on them, and then we'll take it from there. Bottom vent's wide open, top vent's wide open. If it starts to shoot up in temp, I will adjust the bottom vent before I touch this one. That way we get plenty of smoke coming out and it doesn't get too dirty smoky in there. About 3.5 hours later, and this barbacoa is looking fantastic. Nice and crusty, looking real good. And I must say, this has been the easiest cook I've done yet on the channel. Fire's burned to about here. It held right around 275, 300 the entire time. I didn't even look at it. I went inside, edited a video, watched a movie, and I came back out because again, you really don't need to worry too much about this stuff. If it spiked real high, it'll be fine. If it dropped too low, it'll be fine. We're just trying to get some color and some smoke on there. And that has been achieved. So now it's time to finish these off. So as I mentioned earlier, there are a few different ways to finish these off. You can pop them in a sous vide bag with some beef fat, like I did to the direct heat beef cheeks where all these scraps came from. Down at Leroy and Lewis, they throw it in a big tub full of beef fat and pop it in an oven at around 200 degrees overnight. You could wrap them in foil or banana leaves. I've done that before, works really well. But today, we're gonna try to do it in a crock pot. Because again, this is full of connective tissue and fat and collagen that wants to break down, but we need to do that low and slow. So I can't think of a better vessel than the old crock pot. In we go, boop. Hoping it all fits. Look at that, it all fit perfectly, I might add. You can even fit a little more in there. And now we're gonna go in with some Wagyu beef fat. There's plenty of fat in this meat that will leak out, so you don't need to add too much, but a good healthy couple of spoonfuls just to get it going. Make sure nothing burns on the bottom. Is what you want to do. On with the lid. I'm gonna plug this in. I'm gonna start it on low. I believe that's right around 200 degrees, which should be perfect. So I'm gonna let this go overnight. It should be good in the morning. So I'll see you then. One overnight later. Let's see how this barbacoa is looking. Ooh, looking good. You can see it all shrunk down and is now completely submerged. And ooh, looking, oh, we fogged up the lens. As you can see, it is nice and shreddy. We even got some nice smoke ring going on in there, and it's just swimming in its own juices right now. There was not this much tallow in there last night. This is all rendered out of the barbacoa, and this is feeling perfect. Very easy to shred. But before we shred this, we're gonna keep it nice and toasty in here while we make some tortillas. Starting with some bread flour, some kosher salt, and some baking powder. Nice little mixy. Next up, we're going in with some more Wagyu beef tallow. I've tried all sorts of fat in making tortillas, and that Wagyu beef tallow works the best. Even better than homemade tallow. Not sure why. Mix this up till it kind of looks like sand and is kind of clumpable. Perfect. Now we're gonna go in with some warm water. Just gonna let this knead for a little bit. Looking good to me. I'm gonna let this rest for a good 30, 45 minutes. Right in here. Once rested, out we come. Give it a few kneads, and there we have it. A beautiful, nice, supple ball of tortilla dough. Now we need to form them into little dough balls. Such a nice dough to work with. Good tortilla size for me is about 50 grams. You don't have to be exact, and you don't have to weigh them. You can make these whatever size you like. But if you want them all to be consistent and have a nice stackable appearance, weighing them out is a good way to go about it. And just like that, we are all portioned out, but these are all scraggly looking, so now we need to go through, kind of work all the folds down to the bottom until we are left with a nice taut little ball. Just stretching all the sides to the bottom. And there we have it. To get it nice and taut, using the friction of the table, just gonna go around like this with our palm. You can feel it kind of stretching and tucking under itself, and this is what's gonna give us that perfect tortilla presentation. It is nice and taut. And of course, I've got a whole video on how to make these with a lot more detail and instruction with the recipe and all of that, so be sure to check that video out if you have not already. And just like that, all of our balls are formed. I'm gonna rest these under a damp kitchen towel until we are ready to use them, because we need to let these rest for another 10-15 or so, just because we just worked all that glue and we want them to relax a little bit, which gives us plenty of time to strain out this barbacoa, because as you can see, there is a whole bunch of fat in there that we do not want in our barbacoa. So you could try and pour it out, but the best way I've found to do it is using a colander, or get yourself a perforated half pan inside of another pan. So all the meat will stay up here and all the fat will go down there. Just gonna pour it all in there. And at this stage, you can get in there with your tongs and really break it all up. Maybe get some forks in there, because there's all these fat globules in there that we really wanna break up and give this a nice shredded, oh God, we're fogging up again. There's all these fat globules in here that won't render out unless we kind of squeeze them and agitate them a little bit. And also, this is really chunky at this stage, and there's nothing worse than a chunky barbacoa, in my opinion. I like to have that nice shredded look. So again, you can go in there with some tongs, you can push it with your hands or whatever. But a little trick they used to do at Leroy and Lewis is to bust out one of these, little hand mixer. This works perfectly. I think they stopped doing this because it tends to make a bit of a mess, flinging meat everywhere, especially when you're doing this in massive batches. But I'm outside, and this is the quickest and most efficient way to go around and break up your barbacoa. Looking good to me. So it's at this stage too, you can really decide how greasy and how fatty you want your barbacoa to be. This is looking pretty perfect to me, but I'm sure we could still wring some grease out of there if we wanted to. So if you're in the mood for a super lean, non-dripping barbacoa, you can get another pan on top of this and press it. That'll get rid of a lot of fat. And that's something I like to do anyway, just because you can always add more fat to it, you know what I mean? But I'm pretty happy with that. That is some good looking barbacoa. And look at all this meat we have in here for tacos that all came from the scraps from trimming beef cheeks. You know, if you saw my other video, you'll know that the yield of beef cheeks out of a single package of beef cheek meat is really small, and you're left with, you know, 50% scraps. But this is a perfect thing to do with it, because this is all perfect meat. And now we've got some smoky, peppery beef tallow that we could use. That would have probably been really good in the tortillas. Let's give this a taste test real quick. Oh my goodness. Oh man, that is perfect. Nice and smoky, nice and peppery. The mouthfeel is incredible because of all that collagen in there. Very smoky. That pecan smoke is not what I'm used to. Very good. But at this point, you could go in with some more seasoning if you like. If it's not salty enough, you know the drill, folks. And the best part about using a crock pot that's already dirty is you can put all your barbacoa right back in it and keep it warm for whenever you need to use it. I mean, just look at that. So good. So flavorful. Tell you what, next time you go to a party, make a big batch of this stuff, show up with the crock pot, plug it in, bring some tortillas and taco accoutrement. You're gonna be the real winner at that party. Tortilla time. Does it get any better than a freshly made tortilla, folks? I don't think so. I mean, would you just look at it? Ow! Not much of a taco squeal today. I haven't made tortillas in a while. Feels good. Oh, love it. Oh, are we gonna get full puff? Pretty close. Love it. It's just so light and fluffy. Oh, can't go wrong. I don't know about y'all, but a barbacoa taco is not a barbacoa taco unless it's got a whole bunch of beautiful raw onions on top. Also, I ran into one of y'all subscribers at the grocery store just moments ago in the salsa section, and he said this stuff is the way to go. So we're gonna give it a shot today. Ooh, a little bit of crema on there, a little Mexican table cream, and as the bottle says, great drizzled over tacos. Little queso fresco, and a few cilantro leaves to top it all off. Because what doesn't look delicious about that? A little bit of lime juice never hurt anybody, and I think it's time to dive on in. Ooh, oh my god. Oh, that is so good. Man, I love barbacoa. Oh, that is fantastic. Nice and smoky. It's got that nice unctuous, fatty stickiness to it from all that collagen in the beef cheek. Oh, that is amazing. Salsa, also fantastic. It's got that restaurant vibe to it. I guess that's why it's called Mexican restaurant style. So good. Smoky, fatty, tender, salty, a little spicy, lime juice, cilantro. Come on, folks. And all on a homemade beef fat flour tortilla. Nothing wrong with that. With the cheese and the salsa and everything, I probably would have cut back on the salt a little bit on that barbacoa. So maybe don't just go dumping it all on, because again, you can always adjust it at the end. But other than that, it's smoky, it's delicious. The Weber Kettle surprises me every time. I need a margarita right now. It is Cinco de Mayo after all. Let's go ahead and add a little avocado on there. I mean, come on, folks. Oh, the avocado is so nice. You know, you keep your beef cheeks and cook them awesome. Then you take all your scraps and make some really easy barbacoa out of it. Win-win. Throw some chilies or extra spice or some onions or something in with the braise overnight. That'd be fantastic. Or maybe I'll grab my kalbi marinade from a few vids back and make some barbakalbi. But without further ado, I think it's time for the official taste test. No onions for you today. All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make some absolutely incredible barbacoa on your Weber Kettle using scraps from beef cheeks. And obviously this would work really well with just some straight up beef cheek meat if you don't want to go through and trim it all. Super easy. Just grab a bag of beef cheek meat, open it up, throw it on the grill, hit it with a little salt and pep, and enjoy the easiest cook of your life. This is by far the most foolproof thing to cook on my channel. So far, I've cooked it on the Chud box, the offset, now the grill. I've confit it, sous vide it, crock potted it, and it always comes out perfect. No matter what you've got at home, you can make this, and I highly recommend doing so. With that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you want to see me cook next. If you do give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to hit me up on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to Fogo Charcoal. Thank you for sponsoring the Weber Kettle series, and until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace!